Yeah, just a few weeks away until that event happens. It is one of the world's top ones when it comes to the energy industry. And delighted to be joined on the line now by one of the key players within the energy industry here in the UAE. Sara Al Saadi is the Nuclear Safety Director at the Federal Authority for Nuclear Regulation and joins us now live on Microsoft Teams. Good morning, Sara.
Hi, good morning, Richard.
Thanks for being with us. We wanted to speak to you because the UAE's nuclear authorities have recently turned on the fourth and final reactor up at Barakah, the UAE's nuclear power plant, and wanted to get your thoughts on this. First of all, briefly, before we dive into some of the safety issues, just remind us very briefly what has happened.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. First of all, as you've just mentioned, it was just recently announced by Nawah Energy Company, which is the UAE's nuclear power operator, on Saturday, the 23rd of March, that the Barakah nuclear power plant was successfully synchronized to the UAE's grid. And with this being said, I'd like to highlight that this is a major step and another historic moment for the UAE in delivering a carbon-free electricity as part of the UAE's net zero 2050 strategy, which aims to significantly contribute to the nation's clean energy portfolio and supports to achieve its ambitious climate goals for sure.
Can you give us a sense of just what contribution Barakah is now making to the UAE's national grid? Because you just say all four reactors are now connected. The basic maths I was doing, and it's always dangerous when I start doing maths, Sarah, but the basic maths I got was that the UAE as a country, our installed capacity is about 35 megawatts, and this plant is about 5 megawatts, so about 15% by my very basic and dangerous maths. What can you tell us?
So if you speak about one unit out of the four would actually produce 1,400 megawatt of electricity, putting that in mind that this plant as one unit synchronized to the grid is expected to generate 12.5% of the electricity to the UAE. And this gives a total of four units contributing as of 25% to the electricity of the UAE.
Okay, so it's a significant contribution. But let's talk about some of the safety issues that this raises. Obviously, anywhere around the world, there are those who do have concerns about the safety of nuclear power plants. In general, what can you say to those people this morning here in the UAE who hear that the fourth reactor has been turned on and their first thought is not great, more zero carbon energy? They think, I'm a bit concerned about nuclear power.
Absolutely. And that's where we are here as of the Federal Authority for Nuclear Regulation. We are the regulator to the nuclear safety and security in the UAE. And this brings the importance of FANR as a regulator. And this comes as an importance from different perspectives. First, having said with that achievement in there, first, this ensures or gives a successful compliance with the FANR's regulatory framework and its regulations, which is essential to maintain the obtained operational license that was given by FANR. Also, the proper synchronization provides also an assurance that the plant operates safely and does not impose or pose any risk to the grid or the surrounding environment. So generally speaking, this process gives a level of assurance to FANR that the nuclear energy remains safe, reliable, and effective component to the energy mix. And this is definitely bringing us in line with FANR's mission that aims at protecting the public and the environment from the harmful effects of the ionizing radiation and to ensure that the exclusively peaceful use of the nuclear energy in an integrated manner.
I was looking at the changing nature of these risks in the 70 or so year history of nuclear power. And we know about the traditional ones that have caused problems in the past. Human error is one of them. Earthquake in Japan has been one of them. A military attack has not yet. But obviously that is potentially a threat. But I was reading comments from one of your colleagues, Christopher Victorson, the Director General of the FANA, saying the new thing is the rapidly changing environment, putting more pressure on all of us. And he said that throws up more risks. How does climate change pose a risk, and what are you doing to mitigate against that?
Yes, so it's being really looked at differently right now when you look at not only the production of the energy itself to the society and the public, but the long-term possible impacts of the climate change that could impact in a different way or a negative manner to the environment from a cooling perspective as well, different kind of impacts that could happen on the long run. Also, the different environmental changes that could impact on the aging of the plant as well. So all of these actually been now looked at differently among different regulators, and we are looking even into amending our regulatory framework to take into consideration the possible climate change or impact on the long run of the plant. And we, as a regulator, we look into safety. And when I speak about safety, it's nuclear safety, the safety of the equipment, the safety of the plant from human error, as you have mentioned, from security perspectives, as well as from emergency perspective. So we conduct the different exercises on a different timelines in coordination with the national organizations. We've got also some radiation monitors around the plant and around the country as well. So there are different regulatory requirements and approaches that we perform all together just to ensure the robustness of our oversight from nuclear regulatory perspective.
A quick final word on spent nuclear fuel, or nuclear waste as it's sometimes called. I know that in the short term you're storing that at Barakah. You've got pools to cool it, you've got dry casks, but this is a process that takes hundreds, thousands, even more years for this spent nuclear fuel to fully decontaminate. What are you doing in terms of the safety of the spent nuclear fuel?
Okay, so this is also under FANR's mandate, of which we just need to ensure that there is a proper management when it comes to the spent fuel of the Barakah NPP. But just to put in mind that within the design, or I would say the innovative and the modern design of the Barakah power plant, where it considers the latest technologies, it can withstand the spent fuel for up to more than almost 20 years. But in line or parallel to this, we are putting together all the needed regulations in place and also the plans to look forward together with Nawah to see what is next after the 20 years from operation, and how would be how would it be taken care of in terms of waste management afterwards, after the 20 years, whether it's a dry storage for a temporary use, and then looking further for the geological deep repository and so on. So we are still into the different phases, working in parallel with the operator when it comes to this.
Fascinating work. Sara Al Saadi, really appreciate you joining us this morning. The Nuclear Safety Director at the Federal Authority for Nuclear Regulation. On the news that the fourth and final reactor up at Barakah has been connected to the UAE national grid. This is the Business Breakfast Dubai 103.8 FM. Coming up next, talking the economics of Ramadan, in particular iftars and sahurs. Andy Cuthbert of the Jumeirah Hospitality Group joins us live.
By 103.8.
Join the conversation.